welcome to this edition of Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tata, your host, and today I'd like to welcome our guests, Pamela Person and Romonta Allen. They are with Lighthouse Outreach, and our issue today is youth, and our topic is teen pregnancy prevention. So thank you guys so much for coming here today. It's nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
Pamela, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your organization, Lighthouse Outreach, and what you do with it and how you got involved?
Absolutely. Lighthouse Outreach is a nonprofit organization located in the city of Hampton, and we service the coastal Virginia area, more affectionately known as the 7 cities. So what we do is we provide programs and services to youth and their families. We specifically have a really good program that we call the Yes, Dare to Dream program.
Wait, I'm sorry, what was it?
Yes, Dare to Dream.
Yes, Dare, like yes, comma, Dare to Dream.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yes, exclamation
Oh,
point, Dare to
even
Dream.
better.
Yeah, I think so. It's a free 12-hour program that we go into the schools and community-based organizations and provide them with tools for risk avoidance to identify what those things are.
Are you going to like public schools?
Absolutely.
And what ages, what grades?
13 to 16, so typically middle school and high school.
So is that more the rate when they say teen pregnancy? What is that age?
So let's talk about that. That's a
Yeah.
really good thing. So right now, nationally, for the ages from 15 to 19 years old, what that number looks like is about 27 young ladies out of 1,000 end up pregnant.
Wow.
And where that even crosses a line for us and presents even more problems is the fact that 50% of those young ladies drop out of high school.
Oh my goodness.
So it's kind of a revolving thing, so it's kind of an issue that doesn't stop with just the pregnancy. So then we want to talk about the young men, you know, the fathers of these babies.
Right.
They earn 10 to 15% less than their counterparts, men or young men that are their age that don't have children. So it looks a little bit different, and we are doing things, and our whole thing is to provide young people with tools, make them aware of what those risky behaviors are and what they can do to avoid same.
So you focus more on prevention. However, if they are pregnant, do you have services that also address the kids that are pregnant?
Well, while we may not have the services, we certainly partner with those who do.
So you can refer them
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
And are you finding that this rate of teenage pregnancy is something that's on the rise or on the decline? How has that been over the last few years?
I like to be able to say that it's declining, and it has been showing consistent decline. I would like to think in the Southeast area, specifically the coastal Virginia area, that we had something to do with that because we've been providing the youth with information and tools and empowerment. And it's not just us, it's those partners that we work with. And that's really, I think, the biggest thing is to not only do it by yourself, but to get as many involved with the youth's lives, to get them to be able to identify things early and provide them with opportunities and options.
Right.
That's the issue. I think they don't have a lot of options.
Thing, right.
Right.
So when you go into the schools and provide these services, do you receive feedback? Like, do they call you and reach
Absolutely.
out to you, and then you have a dialogue?
It's great. We get dialogue from both the adults, the parents, and the youth. We've had occasions where we've had teachers write letters to say thank you for coming in. We see a change. We've had youth that have gone through the program that come back and say that, you know, give us specifics, things that they've encountered, and to let us know that because you came, it made me aware, and because I was aware, I made a difference, I made a change.
Yeah.
So that's always good. You know, the small adage that you hear is if we can affect one, we've done our job.
Right.
Certainly we want to affect more, but again, when we affect that one and we find out about it, it really does make a difference.
Yeah. And do you get this? Do you have? What's the response from the boys versus the girls?
I like that because we like to deliver the, let's say our 12-hour program is co-ed.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is all boys, sometimes it is all girls. Most
Right.
of the time it's a co-ed program. And
Is there giggling, or are they?
Of course, absolutely. Especially when you
'Cause as
recognize
13-year-olds, you know,
13 to
yeah.
16, everything's funny.
Right.
Or everything's
Yeah.
But for them,
Awkward.
It's awkward. But what I like about it is that we get to, at that moment, address issues where they get to see the differences in each other. And
Right.
until they're brought together in a forum like that or an atmosphere like that, they typically at that age are very selfish. They don't really get what it looks like for a young man doesn't get what a girl feels. A girl
Right.
doesn't understand how a guy thinks. We
Yeah.
make them aware of those things because a lot of the risky behaviors have to do with the differences between the two. And if
Right.
they can understand and respect the differences between each other, they can make better choices individually and holistically, I think.
Well, when you talk about sort of options, do you find that kids in sports, is there a less teenage pregnancy or more or no different?
Well, I can't give you the specifics there, but what I can tell you is when you can get them to redirect their focus, there's a couple of key points. Self-esteem has a lot to do with it. So if they feel really good about themselves and their future, they're less likely to engage in risky behavior.
Right.
For those youth who are really excited about their future, college, they see something beyond where they are right now.
Focused.
They're focused
Yeah.
on their future, so they're less likely to get involved with risky behavior. We're talking about a lot of things now in the school systems and within organizations like ours, and that is trauma. What does trauma look like for kids?
Right.
And where does that come from? And we found that, and this is going to tie back into National Teen Pregnancy Prevention Month, one of the #1 contributing factors as to whether a child will experience trauma is the educational background of that child's mother.
Wow.
So now if you have youth...
It's always the mom's fault, you know?
Oh, well...
No, I'm teasing.
And the problem is, or
Yeah.
the issue becomes, what does that look like for Sally, who's pregnant now in 15? What does
Yeah.
it look like for her child in 5 or 10 years?
Right, that's a good
So we're
point.
trying to get to the point where we can address the fact that there's going to be issues, not just with Sally, but with Sally's son or daughter.
Right.
So if we can get the community to rally around our youth,
Right.
redirect their focus, give them options, and allow them to see that they're not hopeless, because I think that hopelessness has a lot to do with the choices that they make.
Definitely. Now, what are some of the things that you do in Tidewater during that month?
We like to go into the schools, that's where the kids are,
Yeah.
and make them aware. This year what we did was we created what we call a resource information card, and on the front we have a slogan that says, "Seeing your future beyond the wall." And we're going to talk to Mr. Ramonta Allen because he has a lot to do with that. And on the back, what we did was we provided a great deal of numbers for hotlines: bullying, suicide, teen dating, violence, youth and gang violence. So there's numbers on there. So we're going to go into the schools and we're going to say hi to the youth. We're going to try to engage in conversation with them briefly and make sure that they get a card.
Right.
So they can put it in their backpack, put it in their purse. They can have it with them in the event that they feel a certain kind of way or their friend does. They'll have access to those numbers. But Mr. Ramonta Allen,
Who is an artist, not only a musical artist, but also a painter, right?
Okay, no, not really.
No?
I don't paint anymore. I used to.
Okay, but you have the talent.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so you're
yes.
still an artist.
Yes.
So how did you get involved and what kind of things are you doing to help with
Well,
prevention?
along with the music, I'm a great advocate of the community where, you know, because of what I do with the music, I'm able to connect with the community. So I go, you know, I speak with a lot of different schools, a lot of youth, and to give an inspiration about some of the things that are going on. So with a lot of the ventures that Lighthouse were into and are doing now, it grabbed my attention. We decided, matter of fact, there was a couple events that Lighthouse had did, and I was involved with and knew some people that was involved, and I was so excited about it to where I wanted to be involved with it, and from that venture, it just opened up the doors for more things. And right now, we're working on a thing, as Pamela mentioned, in reference to going to different schools and mentoring the kids, you know, about pregnancy prevention.
Right.
So it's important, I think, especially for this community in the Virginia area. It's necessary.
Well, did you know you had a gift with the young people? I mean, because you're kind of cool. You're like
It was
uber
wonderful.
cool. So I would think the kids would really look up and, you know, respect you.
It's a great response. You know, I guess it's a great response. I love it to be able to interact. I guess you have the youthful vibe or the youthful soul, but still mature and grown. So being able to connect with the youth, some people can't do it. So I'm just
that's
blessed to
right.
be able to do that.
right. We had a spring break kickback this year.
Now, what's that?
So let me tell you, and it was a destination one. So we went
Oh.
to the Williamsburg Christian Retreat, and we took about 30 kids with us. Stayed all day. They zip lined. They did archery.
So keeping them busy
Oh,
and
absolutely.
exhausted is
Oh,
probably a
absolutely.
good way
And
to
these
prevent.
are kids that would have otherwise probably never been exposed to some of the things that we did that weekend.
wow.
Well, we brought in Mr. Ramonta. He brought all of his equipment. He created this song, And you know, all kids think that they can rap or they can
Yeah.
sing. He got them involved.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
that's where this partnership began. It was a win-win because music is soothing, it's inspirational, and kids love it. And
Did you
he
write it
liked
ahead of time, or did you write it on the spot?
Oh no, it was sort of, it's a theme called
Yeah.
Yes I Can, Yes I Will.
Yeah.
You know, an encouragement theme, and then we wrote a song to it. So now that's like a jingle
song.
for a theme
Right.
song for, you know, the project that we're working on currently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes I can. Anything you want to do, yes you can. Yes you
So,
will.
well, how did you identify these particular kids that went to the spring break
kickback.
Kickback.
Right. Well, we do interest cards. So the
Oh,
same
so it's a
youth.
response.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And then we had a
wow.
couple of partners that chose children from their organizations and provided the outlet for them. So we had 2 different organizations that brought at least 20 children with us. So and then there were 3 organizations all represented all together. So they kind of know, that's the thing, relationships with youth.
Yeah.
If you have a relationship with youth, or if you're in an organization that has relationships with youth, it's the easiest thing for us to be able to touch those kids
Right.
because it's all about relationship. It's difficult to just kind of go in and recruit youth when they don't know who you are or what you're about. So we like to establish partnerships and maintain partnerships with people who have access to youth.
Right.
But we're certainly here for those who are not a part of an organization and hear about us, give us a call.
Well, what about the, you know, like these particular kids? I'm sure the feedback, they had a great time. So
Absolutely.
is this something that you'll continually do,
Absolutely.
or get them to bring more kids
always.
next time? Because this would be an ongoing thing.
Oh yeah, spring break comes every year, so
Yeah.
does summer. So we're going to do
And the
something
parents
in the
have got to
summer.
love that you're
Oh,
giving them
and they
something
did.
to keep them
They
busy.
did. They did.
All right, let's talk about the shows like Teen Mom. I mean, that kind of glamorizes it a little bit. Not that
Unfortunately.
I've seen a lot of those, but I know some. You know, the kids that are on those shows are also on the cover of magazines.
Right.
So
Right.
that, you know, with these kids that like that.
And
know.
you hear it. We hear it.
Yeah. So what effect does that have?
Well, it's a message. You know, it's an unfortunate message because it does glamorize something that is not easy. And let's talk about that with youth because while a teen mother on television is acquiring income for herself,
Right.
the real world says that the struggle is real. I'm out here,
Yeah.
I'm not before the cameras, I have this child, and we don't know what the support looks like for those youth.
Right.
Because usually the young ladies between the ages of 15 and 19 are themselves a product of a teen pregnancy.
Right.
So it's a cycle that's going on. So mother really didn't have the equipment to really be able to tell you how to do this or
Yeah.
navigate through this. Then this mother doesn't know how to navigate through it. So really what you're seeing is not reality. While they say it's reality TV, how realistic is it?
Right.
What are some of the other things that do contribute to this problem? I mean,
The teen pregnancy?
Yeah.
So I love that's a wonderful segue. It's the other risky behaviors. Drinking.
Oh yeah.
So I like to say, you often hear drug abuse or alcohol abuse. I always like to say the use and abuse of alcohol, the
Right.
use and abuse of drugs, because the abuse starts with the initial use. So if we try to get them to abstain from all those risky behaviors, they're less likely to re-engage or end up in a situation that brings about a teen pregnancy. They're going to be introduced to a lot of different things, and peer pressure has a lot to do with that. And we're hoping that this message reaches a parent, a child, a youth that's going to be going to their prom or going to something else. And at least if they don't have all the information or all the tools, they can come see us or talk to us.
Thank you guys so much.
Great.
We're going to take a quick break and then we will continue this conversation. I'm Ann Farrell Tata. This is Joy in Our Town, and we will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Ann Farrell Tata, your host, and we are going to continue our conversation with Pamela Person and Ramonta Allen. They are with the Lighthouse Outreach, and our issue is youth, and we're going to be talking about building your future and some of the things that the youth can do. But before we do, we had to cut you off real quick, but please continue about, you were talking about risky behavior
Absolutely.
and some of the effects.
So risky behaviors are those things that sabotage youth's futures. And again, we were talking about drug use and abuse, alcohol use and abuse. Often we talk about the abuse of those things, but we don't really address the fact that the initial abuse starts with the usage of it. So
Right.
we often relate the word abstain simply to sexual behavior.
Yeah.
I like to use the word abstain to all risky behaviors.
What comes first? You know, because
The
sometimes
chicken
if
or the
you-
egg?
Yeah, because think about if a young girl ends up having sex early, that might cause her to
Absolutely.
drink. You know, and then if
Absolutely.
she drinks, it might, or he. I mean, not to blame it. You know,
And that's
but-
what happens.
So what comes?
So you can't really make that determination, but I
Yeah.
can tell you that drinking alters your thought process.
Right.
So let's talk, if we're going to talk about altering your thought process, then you're more likely to engage in risky behavior.
Right.
Now, the aftermath is unfortunate because now we're drinking because it's situational. So teen pregnancy goes a long way. So we want to abstain from it, we want to avoid it, but we also want to be able to be of some support to the young lady who finds herself in that situation. We don't want to cut her off.
Right.
We're certainly going to add to the fact that we can be of some support to her. And if we can't do it at Lighthouse, again, we're certainly going to find somebody or partner with somebody that can.
Right. All right. What about the parents?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, joked about the mom being the mom's fault, but I mean, how can the parents? What can they do
Mm-hmm.
to be more involved to prevent this, to help with the prevention?
Absolutely. So that's another brainchild and something close to Lighthouse's heart is the holistic approach to youth.
Yeah.
Is their families. Youth are
Including
attached.
siblings, I guess,
Absolutely.
too.
Youth are attached to families.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, parents are just so busy trying to provide.
Yeah.
You know, their job is to provide, to be there, to be supportive. And sometimes these issues aren't addressed. So we would like to bring attention to the issues, and sometimes parents don't like talking about them. But if you can have an open dialogue with your youth about the things that they're dealing with, and if you have an open dialogue with them, they're likely to come talk to you about those things like bullying, which is a really big thing in the media now. We're dealing with it firsthand in our community. We just
Yeah.
lost a young girl at Woodside High School. So it's important to us. People are
Right.
affected every day. When it comes to drinking again and driving.
Yeah.
Proms are coming up. Parties are going to be happening. Avoid. Just
Right.
abstain. Avoid, avoid, avoid. It's just so many different things, but when it comes to the parents, I think the importance is dialogue. Talk about
Yeah.
it. Talk about it. If you don't know about it, find out about it so you can talk about it. You want to have not a monologue because you
Yeah.
talk a lot and they don't want to listen, they shut down. I'm the mother of an 18-year-old who so I'm a first-hand witness. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of have to engage and meet them where they are, kind of find out what their language is and talk
Right.
to them in their language.
And what kind of things are you doing? Because I know peers,
Mm-hmm.
teens helping teens, peers helping peers. What kind of things are you doing to encourage that behavior?
Well, we like that because teens beget teens,
Yeah.
and they're the best leader for teens. And we do partner with a couple of organizations whose foundation is that, teen leadership. So when we have young people that come into our organization and we are going through the programs that we have or the curriculums that we have, they're interactive. So we like to get the youth involved with each other. So if they can be involved with each other, they encourage each other. Because me standing in front of them having this conversation looks a lot different than their peer having the same thing to say.
Right.
We are trying to partner with some organizations that have youth, teen moms.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about that, because that
We
would
are.
be, to me, that would be a really
Absolutely.
effective
Absolutely.
role model to have someone who's been through it.
Teen moms, individuals that have been in the system, incarcerated, but have
Wow.
been reintroduced to society.
Yeah.
Individuals that have been in situations where there's been drinking and driving. What is the result of that for you? What is the real result for you? What does
Yeah.
it look like in real time and in real life? So we're trying to put those things together so that we can have real examples, because a conversation looks a lot different than a real example.
So you have a lot of teen moms that are willing to come and share their story, and
Well, I'm sure there are, and we're looking, and we
Yeah.
have a few. So we just have to put that all together and get them to
Right.
the point where we can, and then people have to be comfortable with allowing us to have that opportunity to speak to their
Right.
children, because it's never my child.
Yeah.
That's the.
wait, I don't understand that. It's never,
A lot of parents don't think that it's
their parents think that my child is not
Absolutely.
doing that risky behavior.
Right.
Oh, so that's, how do you address that? That's got to be the hardest.
Of course it is.
It
Of course
is.
it is.
It seems like
Ramonta,
a lot of
you
times
wanna-
after it happens is when
Yeah.
they want to address it.
Are they
because-
really shocked then?
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
it goes with so many different situations or circumstances when after something happens, they may see the signs,
Right.
They may recognize it but don't want to acknowledge it until after it happens. And sometimes we never want to say it's too late, but sometimes it becomes even more of an issue to tackle and address after it is done.
At
Yeah.
that point, you're going to have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Right, there's
All right,
consequences.
so let's talk about building their future. What are some of the things that they can do to avoid and to look for a brighter future?
Absolutely. Programs. Time, you know, you've always heard an idle mind, what an idle mind does.
Yes.
You need to keep them occupied. I think that's one of the biggest things. And keep them directed, keep their focus clear. They need to have clear vision about where they're going. And we need to provide them with tools to be able to do that. So you have programs like ours. I'm sure that people can look for other programs, but I think the biggest part, because now you're talking about middle school or high school.
Right.
So if we can get them to really invest in and focus in their future, find things that they're interested in. If they can identify an interest, then you can find things that can accommodate their interest. Get them involved in whatever it takes to build that, because we don't want to be dream killers.
Yeah.
We certainly want them to dream. We just want to be able to equip them to understand whether or not the dream is realistic and what it takes to make that happen. You know, I want to be a ball player, but are you outside, you know, practicing on the court, or are you on your iPhone or your iPad? You know, I want to be a surgeon. How's your math looking? You know,
Right.
how's it looking in school? So you have to really kind of ask questions, and there's that dialogue again. And once we find out what they're interested in, then hopefully we as a community can come together and create situations and create options for them and create programs to be able to get them involved and get them interested in coming around and staying involved.
Well, now, are these some of the things that you guys are having the dialogue with, or are you teaching the parents to have these dialogues?
Well, fortunately, we have hands-on with the kids, so we're talking to the youth.
So how does that work? I know you go and speak to them generally like in an assembly, but then is it in the follow-up when they actually get to sit down and
Oh, yeah.
and so you kind of can make it specific to them. You can actually
Absolutely.
talk and
Absolutely, with the
Wow.
youth.
Yeah.
And then we get to talk to them and say, really, Mom and Dad's not so bad, because you
Yeah.
know the kids listen to other
Oh,
people.
I love that.
Mom and Dad's really not so bad.
Yeah.
So maybe you can help them along too. Empower them, make them feel like
Right.
they're important, because they are.
So how do they, I mean, because your whole thing is to try to get them to get that big picture and get the focus. So how, I mean, is it by just finding out what their interests are and redirecting their thoughts?
A lot of times, I think that makes it sound really simple.
Yeah.
It's not. It sounds simple, but it's about establishing relationships first.
Right, because they got to trust you.
Oh, absolutely. And then we
Right.
have
And
to
find
make
you
sure
cool.
right. So you have to be relevant. You know, so
Yes.
sometimes I'm fortunate to have a teenager in my home. What does that
Yeah.
look like when you don't?
Right.
You know, how do you know how they sound, what they talk like, and what they're interested in, what they like to look at? You know,
Yeah.
so I try to stay relevant. It's sometimes painful,
Yeah.
but it it works for me and
Talk
what I
the
do.
talk. If I start singing the songs, my kids are like, "Really, Mom?"
Right. That's what my 18-year-old says to me all the time.
Stick to your
Just
music,
stop.
Mom.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do.
All right, so let's talk about mentors and role models, because everybody, I mean, our dream is to have our children pick nice, good
Right.
role models, but let's talk about that a little bit.
I would love to hear what Ramonta has to say about musicians, specifically rappers, and I have a lot to say. What would you say?
Well, I will say to address it.
He's going to write a song about it.
I know, right? I will say a disappointing factor is a lot of our adults are so busy, consumed, where you have either single parent homes,
Right.
or the parents have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make things meet.
Sure.
So therefore, the children are being raised by TV, by their peers, and to motivate them, of course, that's where we come in. Is while the parents, are busy trying to make ends meet, trying to be parents for however their task of doing so. We come into where we know that being able to motivate and inspire our kids, because they're at that tender age where they're willing to, they're in the learning stage.
Right.
So we come and try to motivate them, especially with the music. When you watch the TV, and let's be clear, a lot of our young teens or our younger generation, they're looking at TV and they're idolizing what they see on TV, whatever it may be, even the
Right.
females. So because we know that that's a big issue, somebody like myself is able to kind of flip that, and instead of the youth focusing on the negative, I try to bring the positive
Right.
and bring a message behind it, to where they could not just say, oh, I want to be like this and like that in a negative light,
Yeah.
but there's also a positive light. And I think with everything that we do, if we could somehow kind kind of cut it off and show the positive in everything,
Right.
it'll be more of an inspiration, because a lot of the kids, they don't see that. They don't.
And they won't feel so judged, too.
Right.
Right.
But you know, part of it is, how do you even get them to identify who their role models are? You know, they're taking all that in,
Yeah.
but they may not, unless you, again, have a dialogue with them, you don't know who they think,
Well,
you know?
Yes.
let's say LeBron James.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no,
Or-
he's okay to idol. I mean, he's awesome.
Okay.
Right.
So, but let's say LeBron James or any a singer.
Yeah.
They'll look at that person, but they don't get a chance to really have dialogue and converse with that
Right.
individual.
Right. So
Hard
it's-
work,
It's not
hard work.
reality.
It's not the reality.
Yeah.
So where we would come in is give them that reality.
Yeah.
So if you idolize LeBron James or whomever,
Yeah.
when we come into play, we actually get a chance to talk. We give you
Right.
the music, like myself.
Right.
To be a music entertainer for myself, you can actually talk. I can show you hands-on, and then you can feel the
Yeah.
presence of inspiration. And then
Yeah. Well, we're just going to get them to understand that LeBron didn't become LeBron overnight.
Right. Right.
Let's use some. Jay-Z didn't become Jay-Z overnight.
Right.
It all requires hard work. It
Right.
requires a plan, and that's what we want to talk about, a plan.
Right.
And that's what
and
we typically
the focus.
do.
That goes back to
Yeah.
getting them.
Have a plan
Is that what you want
and
to be?
stay focused.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you say if they want a mentor? If they come to you, I mean, do you automatically say, I want to, connect you with this person, or do you wait for them to ask, or how do you go about that?
Well, absolutely. If someone comes and makes the request, we're going to try to make a connection for them. We specifically have a program. We see them, but we do keep in contact with them 6 to 12 months later.
Oh,
Our hope is to continue this train. Don't let it stop.
Yeah.
We want to continue multiple programs. We want to make aware. We're not going to be in the community just this May, but we'll be in the community every May, every February, every October, because you have Bully Prevention Month, you have Teen Dating Violence Month, you have Youth and Gang Violence Prevention Month. You have all these different months we want to make our community aware of. We want to
Right.
make parents aware of, and we want to be in the community bringing the awareness to the people so that they can know that while this is what we're talking about this month, this is something they deal with every
Yeah,
day.
That's right. That's right. And you're being real. I mean, that's the thing, is that these are tough conversations to have, but this is really happening.
Right.
So I just appreciate you guys,
Thank
both
you.
of y'all, first of all, for what you're doing, and then coming here to share about it. I'm sure people are going to have questions and want to get in touch with you. Can you just real quickly give your website?
Absolutely. Lighthouse Outreach or lighthouse/outreach.org is the website.
Okay.
And then if I can leave a phone number?
I think they're going to put that up
Wonderful.
on text. I
Works.
think we're out of time.
That's great.
But I am Ann Farrell Tata, and thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time on Joy in Our Town. Thank you.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.